Hello everybody and welcome to Eye Opener. This is Dr. Mridula V. Amarnath here. So today I am going to talk to you about lacrimal apparatus, a very important topic. Okay, so here I'll be discussing mainly about the anatomy part of it. Later on I'll talk to you about the watering from the eyes, okay, the different tests which are done to evaluate the same, and finally the management part of it. Fine, so let's start now with the lacrimal apparatus. Fine. So have a look at this picture. Now in this picture there are two components. One is the secretory part and other one is the drainage system. Now in the secretory part you mainly have the lacrimal gland. From the lacrimal gland you have some ducts. They are called as the excretory ducts and they open up into the upper part of the eye to the fornix, upper fornix. And you have the drainage system. Now in the drainage system you have the canaliculi. From there you have the joints to form the common canaliculi, forms the lacrimal sac, nasolacrimal duct, then finally opens up into the inferior meatus. Okay, next coming to the formation of tears. Now here there are two components. One is the reflex secretion and other one is the basal secretion. Now reflex secretion, like how as the name suggests, now here there is an outpouring of tears when there is any say damage or infection to the conjunctiva or the cornea. Okay, now here reflex secretion is from the main lacrimal gland. Now this main lacrimal gland is a serous acinar gland, okay, and it is situated in the upper and the outer part of the orbit, the lateral side. And it is divided into two parts, a palpebral and an orbital part by the aponeurosis of the levator palpebrae superioris muscle. Clear? Coming to the basal secretion, like how the name suggests, it's required for the basic nourishment of the eye. And now this is mainly by the accessory lacrimal gland. And this there are of two types, you have cross and Wolfram. Fine, now coming to the drainage system. Now this slide is very important, so let's pay quite a little more attention to this slide. So first is you have the lacrimal puncta. Now these are nothing but tiny openings which are present on the upper as well as the lower eyelid. Now from these punctums you have the canaliculi. So you have the upper superior canaliculi and the inferior canaliculi. So now here again you have a vertical part which is 2 mm and a horizontal part which is 8 mm. Now these two canaliculi join together and forms the common canaliculus. And finally it opens up into the lacrimal sac. Now here it is guarded by a valve and this valve is called as the valve of Rosen-Muller. Now finally it opens up into the lacrimal sac. Now this lacrimal sac is situated in the lacrimal fossa. It is mainly formed by the lacrimal bone and the bone of maxilla. Okay. And then from the lacrimal sac it comes down to form the nasolacrimal duct. Now this nasolacrimal duct is around 12 mm in its dimension and it is downwards, backwards and laterally, and finally this nasolacrimal duct opens into the inferior meatus. Again you have one more valve here and this valve is called as the valve of Hassner. Fine, so let's just have a recap. Okay, so what are the dimensions? One, you should know about the canaliculi. So it has a vertical part which is 2 mm and a horizontal part which is 8 mm. Then you have a lacrimal sac which is 10 mm in dimension and you have a nasolacrimal duct which is 12 mm in dimension. Then you have two valves, one at the opening of the lacrimal sac which is the valve of Rosen-Muller and the other one is the valve of Hassner which is present at the lower end of the nasolacrimal duct. And the last thing is, where does the nasolacrimal duct open up into? It opens up into the inferior meatus. Okay, so this is very important. So next let's talk about watering of the eye. Here again there are two things which you will have to know. One is hyperlacrimation, other one is epiphora. Now what is hyperlacrimation? This is basically there is excessive secretion of tears. Now this could be because of any ocular inflammation or any ocular disease, emotional or psychiatric causes. Okay, and what is epiphora? Epiphora is watering that occurs when there is an obstruction into the outflow of the tears. Now this could be when there is a block in the canaliculi or in the nasolacrimal duct, or it could even happen when there is a lacrimal pump failure. Fine, so what are the tests that we do to evaluate this condition? Okay, so the first one is regurgitation test. Now here pressure is applied over the lacrimal sac with a thumb, and if there is a regurgitation of a mucopurulent discharge, it indicates that there is a nasolacrimal duct obstruction. Second is syringing. Now remember here we use a Nettleschip punctum dilator and a Bowman's probe for probing. The third one is a fluorescence dye disappearance test. Now what happens if the drainage system is adequate? Once we apply the fluorescence dye, it should be completely drained out and disappeared. But in case if it is blocked, what happens? The dye does not get drained out and it will still remain there in the eye. And the next one is the Jones dye test. Now this Jones dye test is an important one. A lot of MCQs have come from this part of the area. So in Jones dye test 1, what do? You take a 2% fluorescence dye and it is instilled into the conjunctival sac. And you take a cotton bud which is soaked in anesthetic solution and place it at the opening of the nasolacrimal duct. And you wait for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you examine the cotton bud. Now in case if it gets stained with the fluorescence, that means it's a positive test, which indicates that the entire drainage system is completely patent. There is no obstruction anywhere, and watering is mainly because of hypersecretion. But again, if the cotton bud does not get stained with the fluorescence dye, that means it's a negative test, which indicates that there is some obstruction in the drainage system. It could either be a partial obstruction or a lacrimal pump failure, but there is an obstruction somewhere. So in Jones dye test 2, what do? The residual fluorescence is washed out by irrigation and again a bud is placed. Now you see, if the bud is stained with the fluorescence dye, that means it is a case of a partial obstruction of the nasolacrimal duct. Now in case if the bud does not get stained, that means it's a negative test, which indicates that there is a physiological obstruction or a lacrimal pump failure. Now when do you get a lacrimal pump failure? When there is a paralysis of the orbicularis muscle or when there is a lower lid laxity. So what is the investigation of choice? So one is you have dacrocystography. Now like as the name suggests, you insert a dye and then you evaluate, view where exactly is the obstruction. Okay, and then other one is scintigraphy. Now this is much more sensitive than dacrocystography and also helps us in assessing incomplete blocks from a physiological obstruction, as in cases of a lacrimal pump failure. So what is the treatment part of it? Okay, now in case if there is a partial nasolacrimal duct blockage, then you do a pressure syringing with an antibiotics. Now this mainly helps to relieve all the obstructions. But if there is a complete nasolacrimal duct blockage, then we go for DCR. What is DCR? It is dacrocystorhinostomy, when an anastomosis is created between the lacrimal sac and the nasal mucosa. So here we make the final opening into the middle meatus. So with that we come to an end of this session. I think I've made it much easier for you. Hope you all liked it. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.